It's day 17 of President Bola Tinubu's presidency, and in 2 weeks, this administration has taken some bold steps, including effecting the removal of fuel subsidy, unifying foreign exchange, suspending both the CBN governor as well as the EFCC chairman, signing the students' loan bill, the electricity bill, and data protection bill into law. He's also appointed the chief of staff, 8 special advisors, and inaugurating the National Executive Council. Thanks for joining us on the program. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Remember, you can join the conversation now on Twitter using the hashtag #first100days, tag at TVC News NG, and at Nifemi Oguntoye. Let's begin from the presidential villa Abuja, where it has been a busy day for President Bola Tinubu. A few hours after the president inaugurated the National Economic Council team, headed by Vice President Kashim Shettima, the Director of Information of the State House, Abiodun Oladunjoye, announced the president's approval of the appointment of 8 special advisors. The following are those appointed. Well, the president also received the former military head of state, retired General Abdulsalami Abubakar, at the presidential villa Abuja. After a closed-door meeting, the former head of state told State House correspondents that there can only be development when the country is at peace. He also reacted to the federal government's removal of fuel subsidy.
Let's always give peace a chance. It's absolutely necessary, because if there is no peace, there is no country. And Nigeria, there is enough for everybody. So let us try to be each other's keeper and also put our own hands on deck to move the country forward. This subsidy issue has been on and off and so on. But Mr. President has taken a decision to remove it, and I hope we will all see how to help him to make sure that it succeeds.
And earlier, the president inaugurated the National Economic Council headed by the Vice President Kashim Shettima. This team will help to implement and advise on the blueprint of the present administration on economic matters.
We must harness the growth potential of Nigeria and bring about serious development to bring us from a potential issue to a pragmatic economic development in a rapid manner. Their expectation is unmet.
State House correspondent Femi Akonde joins me live on the First 100-day show, live from the presidential villa. Femi, let's begin with the appointment of 8 essays with probably 12 more to go. Let's talk about their role, which is to assist the president in the performance of his function. But talk to us about how much influence these essays have when it comes to decision-making.
Well, Ifemi, we can say that this is the president's first 11. We know that there are 8 essays appointed now. But, you know, these positions or these appointments given are critical in helping the president run his administration. We saw that we have seen that of Mr. Dele Alake as strategy, communications, and special duties. We also saw the president appoint somebody in charge of energy. That sector is also very critical. A special advisor on security. That is one of the president's priority areas. He appointed a special advisor on monetary policies. That is Mr. Wale Edu. We saw the president's inaugural speech. You will know that the president has been really concerned about unifying the exchange, having a uniform exchange rate in the country. And we know that that directive has been given to the central bank, and it is already being implemented. We've also seen a special advisor on trade and investment. All of these first appointments, they are an indication of how President Bola Tinubu's administration intends to drive the vehicle of the country, the direction they will take. The economy is also very much represented. Most of those who have been appointed will play a key role in revamping the economy and putting it on the track of national growth and development. Well, a lot of these appointments were highly anticipated. People were left guessing who will get what and when. But now we have seen the first 8. Remember, the National Assembly approved 20 special advisors for President Bola Tinubu. 12 more to go. We have seen the first 8. Who will make the remaining list of 12? Well, we do not know. Only the president has that up his sleeves. Nifemi.
Those who will make the coming list, we find out that a couple of them are quite young, under the age of 50. For instance, the advisor for energy, she has nearly 20 years experience in the gas and renewable sectors, but she actually looks very young. You look at Zacchaeus Adedeji, who is 45 years. There is John Uwanju Mogul, who is 46, and Olu Vengen, who is 46. Is that an expectation of what to come as regards engaging younger people in the business of governance, Femi?
Yes, that's very correctly, Femi, because President Bola Tinubu has said that, once his administration hits the ground running, he's going to greatly involve youth in running the government. Youth will have a critical role to play. We are already beginning to see a manifestation of that, looking at the appointment of the special advisor on energy. She's young, but yes, she has a vast experience in that sector. Everyone is waiting to see how she will bring all of that to bear in this critical sector that also affects other sectors of the economy. We look at other appointments, so we have a couple of young people too. We are expecting to see more young people come on board when the president unveils the remaining members of his team before the appointment of ministers. Even we are expected to also see young people make President Bola Tinubu's ministerial list. We are expected to hear an announcement of young people heading government agencies, parastatals, departments, and all of that. So for the youths, it's beginning to seem as if they are going to have a huge role to play in President Bola Tinubu's administration. Nifemi.
Hopefully that appeals to the younger population of Nigerians who did not support the emergence of Bola Tinubu as president. Indeed. And we're also looking forward to how much energy this youthful inclusion will bring to governance. But the president yet again today highlighted the need for collaboration and for governors not to give excuses while he inaugurated the National Economic Council. What were the takeaways for you, particularly the president's address?
Well, the president told the state governors that failure is not acceptable. He will not accept complaints, that they should all get to work. They should strengthen collaboration. They should ensure that the dividends of democracy, the impact of governance is felt by people at the grassroots. And by that, he's saying that the state governors, the subnationals, should work closely with the people at the local government, because he believes that this would also help foster economic growth and development and ensure that it trickles down to the people at the grassroots, the poorest of the poor, because the local government, as the third tier of government, is the closest to the people. He said his administration will be strong on security, creating jobs, infrastructure, agriculture. He said this in his inaugural speech, and he's glad that now that the National Economic Council has been inaugurated, it will be used as that vehicle towards achieving this economic agenda of his administration. The meeting of the National Economic Council, chaired by Vice President Kashim Shettima, just ended about 50 minutes ago. They are also currently briefing State House correspondents on the decisions and resolutions reached. What we are hearing is that they are beginning to work out ways on how palliative measures will be rolled out to help cushion the effect of the removal of petrol subsidy in the country. Also, a committee was set up to look at the impact of flooding in the country. You recall 2 years ago there was this massive flooding that swept across several states in the country that led to the destruction of property and even the loss of lives. A committee was set up to put together how much, to give an assessment of how much was lost. So the federal government now is beginning to work out ways of ensuring that those who lost property, businesses and all of that are compensated, and also mitigate the impact of that flooding. And they are again saying that there's still a warning that Nigeria, some parts in Nigeria, flood-prone areas in Nigeria, will again see floodings this year. So the federal government is already working on that to ensure that, you know, the impact is reduced to the barest minimum to ensure that this time the losses that may be incurred as a result of the floods are drastically reduced. You know, all of these meetings, all of these resolutions from the National Economic Council, we expect to see the plans being rolled out in the coming days as the National Economic Council sets to work to ensure that the promises of President Bola Tinubu's administration are being fulfilled to Nigerians. Nifemi.
Femi Akode live for us at the presidential villa. We'll be back with you when you have more updates for us, Femi. We'll take a break now and return with more. Don't go away.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu do solemnly swear
Well, critical to the success of this new administration's economic policies is national security, as the Tinubu presidency is coming at a time Nigeria is faced with multiple internal security challenges. There's banditry in the northwest, pockets of insurgency in the northeast, herders farmers crisis in north central, and gang and cult violence in southwest part of Nigeria. Talk about militancy, piracy, and oil theft in the south-south, and separatist violence in the southeast region. Add to all of that, widespread kidnapping for ransom across the country. In his renewed hope manifesto, President Tinubu did promise to redefine the military doctrine and practice, as well as mobilize the totality of our national security, military and law enforcement assets to protect all Nigerians from danger and from the fear of danger. Let's talk about national security under the Tinubu administration and what is expected in his first 100 days in office. Joining me live from our Abuja studio is the former spokesperson of the Nigerian Army with more than 3 decades of service in the military, former Director, Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Sani Usman. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Good evening, and thank you for having me on your program.
All right, let's begin with some of the challenges right now and how the new administration should begin to deal with them. We're looking at 650 million naira reportedly paid for ransom within between 2021 and 2022. At least 500 people were kidnapped within that period. No fewer than 3,400 people abducted across the country. What would you say has made this particular challenge endemic?
Naturally, it is very, very challenging in the sense that it has been affecting, the safety and security of Nigerians. Therefore, anything that will impinge on your freedom, regardless of which type of freedom, I think is a very challenging thing. More so, when you talk about kidnapping, banditry, and other security challenges, particularly kidnapping, in the sense that the value of human dignity has been reduced to that of an animal. People are paying ransom, simply because he has been kidnapped and all the rest. So and it has corresponding effect, negatively, so to speak, on socio-economic well-being of the Nigerian society. It has affected the educational system, it has affected food security, and so on and so many things. Therefore, there is high expectation on the government to deal with this issue decisively, and thankfully, the president has made security a topmost priority of his administration. And I have no doubt about the fact that definitely this will be delivered sooner than later. But what is expected more, and thankfully we have been seeing signs that they have already hit the ground running, and by way of appointment and putting the right people at the right place to make sure that that aspect that is missing in dealing with security challenges in this country, the whole society approach is given topmost priority. But above that also, we have to consolidate on some of the gains made so far. Take, for instance, the security forces are doing all they could to, targeting, these criminal elements. And we have to continue in that regard and then think out of the box, not necessarily in that way, but, thinking of how do we improve in the, in dealing with security challenges, using the whole society approach, and involving other components of Nigerian society that were not involved in dealing with the security challenges. Take, for instance, most of the issues were kinetic, and we should imbibe the spirit of non-kinetic approach to see, because right now most of these bandits, from information available, they are even tired. They want to drop their weapons, and so to what extent are we taking advantage of that? Just like what happened in the Northeast, where the Boko Haram terrorists were dropping their weapons voluntarily in numbers. And it is equally important to also address such issues. Take, for instance, the repentant Boko Haram that there are thousands in number. What are we doing with it? Because the issue now it is, can Borno state government and the military continue to hold forth without assistance from the federal government? So unless we look at that and so many other issues, we will still have a long way to go. But I'm so optimistic that these security challenges, by involving every component of Nigerian society, particularly the youth groups, the traditional institutions, and other professional groups, in the security, solution in this country, I think we will definitely get there. But I think the most important thing is putting the right people at the right place and let them be proactive. You let them be consulting and involving other components of the Nigerian society, just like the national security strategy has made. And most importantly, also follow up, monitoring, evaluation, feedback, and being open to the people so that they can report. And most importantly, again, the security forces should be, just like the doctrine will be revisited to see to what extent are they well trained and well equipped, the numbers to meet up with the security challenges. And by the way, when you are talking about other security challenges, we're in the 21st century, given the globalization, there is one other issue, the cyber crime that is impinging on our security, affecting, security, and even the economy and social well-being of Nigeria. So it is not just those physical, there are also this aspect that we have to, strengthen our institutions and security forces to meet up with these security challenges as they evolve.
About welfare, the issue of salaries and welfare concerns of frontline military and security personnel, which of course is what the new administration has promised to address in its campaign manifesto. I remember interviewing you 2 years ago on the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, and you specifically talked about the fact that service personnel at that time earned about 1,500 naira daily fighting terrorists. What's the situation now? How well is their welfare funded, and what must be done differently under this new administration?
Yeah, exactly. Welfare is very important. You are quite right about the operational allowances, particularly for the military personnel, right from the topmost general down to the last private soldier as it is. And the situation is exactly the same, because it is not just the military that are deployed in counter-insurgency operations. There are other components of the policing system, the Nigerian police and other security agencies. To what extent their welfare is being addressed is another issue. So it is not just enough to have the equipment, but you have to take care of the person behind the machine. And that is why the welfare of the security forces is equally important. And it is not even enough just serving, but what is the take-home package in case of, people have, paid the supreme price? How do you take care of the family they left behind? And for those who are wounded in action, what are those, medical remedies available to them, and so on and so on. So these are the issues. So beyond the equipment, the welfare also need to be enhanced. But it cannot be enhanced unless if we look at the issue of dealing with training, equipping, and because if the security personnel are well trained, are well equipped, the issue of security, and in any case, the training as it is also part of the welfare of security forces. So all these things go hand in glove. You have to be improving on them simultaneously.
So we have a very short time, Brigadier General, and I just want to squeeze in two more questions for you. Secessionist violence is one, major security challenge the Tinubu administration will have to deal with. The Monday sit-at-home in the Southeast is now crippling the economy of those states. Some say we may have explored or, the kinetic approach, like you mentioned earlier, to solve these problems, and that right now we have to seek political solutions. Do you agree?
Yeah, quite right. I think this is very important, because most of the security challenges, at the end of the day, you end up on the negotiating table. In the case of sit at home, I think everybody is quite aware of the devastating consequences on the well-being of the people of Nigeria, not just necessarily the Southeasterners, but also the economy, because these people are very resilient and they are economically, vibrant. But for you to have a whole day, that there won't be any activity, socio-economic activities and other things, it really impinges on the national, on the development and the well-being of these people. Therefore, beyond the kinetic aspect, I think there is need for constructive engagement. And I made reference to the fact that there is need to make, to consult with other components of the Nigerian society. There is kind of communication gap between the components, especially in the Southeast. Take, for instance, what is the relationship between the old and the young? What is the relationship, what happened to the time-tested, traditional methods of conflict resolution? Because you have the A-grade system, you have the town union, and above all, again, if you look at it from another perspective, we have three tiers of government: the federal, state, and local government. In most instances, including the Southeast and other parts of the Nigerian society, other parts of Nigeria, most of the local government system is almost collapsed. And unless we revive it and improve on good governance, so these issues will still be haunting us. But in the case of the Southeast, I think there is need for dialogue, for people to see reason, because those people involved, most of the people that are staying or respecting the order of staying at home, in most instances is because of the fear of unknown. So if you improve on the ability of the security forces to secure the lives and properties of the people, the well-meaning people will definitely defy that. But at the same time, while doing that, you have to involve the components of the society, the traditional rulers, the youth groups, and other people in the Southeast to see to what extent they can talk among themselves. You look at it when it started. It was a non-government, but we are just being economical with the truth, because each and every one of these perpetrators is well known. They come from a particular state, they come from a particular local government, they come from a particular community, and even, household. So have we really identified all those issues, and to what extent are we talking about those issues? But most importantly is to improve on other institutions, the judicial system, so that they will be alive to their responsibilities. The issue of impunity should not be there. If you commit any offense, let us take advantage of the judicial system to make sure that everybody is equal before the law. The rule of law should be applied, and people will definitely understand that there is no point, because at the end of the day, it is the people that are suffering. To what extent would it help the cause of agitation by asking people to stay at home? It doesn't make any sense. At the end of the day, you are taking them backward.
Be sure that we're going to return and talk to you subsequently. But if you can answer this within 1 minute. There's a house cleaning going on now with the new administration. Some heads of government agencies have been asked to step aside. In a minute, Brigadier General, what's your expectation with the service chiefs?
A lot of expectation, and naturally you just have to clean certain things that you are not too comfortable with, and it is with best of intention to make sure that the system is rectified and made better. So it is no surprise in such things, and a lot of things are ongoing, especially in the sense that there is kind of lack of communication. But I think with this openness and proactiveness, people will be carried along. So things that have been covered before will be uncovered, and the right thing will be done.
Absolutely. We're counting on that the right things will be done, particularly under this new administration, and how it will, affect security of lives and property. Thank you so much for your contribution. From our spokesperson of the Nigerian Army, from our Director, Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Sani Usman, retired.
Thank you so much.
That's our program today. Watch a repeat broadcast at midnight and at 6 a.m. tomorrow. I am Nifemi Oguntoye.